Hi friends, it's Walter Zumrock with the Love From Lizi design team here with another video of 4 cards I made using the May For Him kit. If you enjoy this content and my cards, please consider giving me a thumbs up and also giving me a follow. I'd really appreciate it. I really hope you enjoy this video and my cards. For this card, we'll be using an A2 Navy top fold card base, the bow tie patterned paper, a silver Polaroid frame from Love From Lizi, the fedora and vest ephemera from the For Him kit, this beautiful glitter cardstock, and some stamps. I cut down the bow tie paper to 4 inches by 5 1/4, put some double-sided adhesive tape on it, and adhered it to my card base. The sentiment Celebrate was stamped onto the bottom of the Polaroid frame. I used some black pigment ink. Then I sprinkled it with some black embossing powder and heat set it. Double-sided foam tape strips were added to the back of the frame. The backing was removed and the frame is pressed down onto the beautiful glittered cardstock. I then used my detail scissors to cut the cardstock away from the frame. Craft glue is used to adhere the vest down to the Polaroid image first. And then some double-sided foam tape strips are put onto the back of the fedora to keep it elevated as I put it down onto the Polaroid frame. I tilted a bit to give it a little bit more style and pizzazz. I use some of the beautiful brown and gold peel-offs to put around the bow tie paper to make it look a little framed on the navy card base. I lay it down on one side, cut it to size, and then do the same for the other 3 sides. With that done, I can now adhere the Polaroid frame down onto the card base. I do that using some double-sided tape. With the Polaroid frame in place, I put some small glue dots along the top of the frame and on the sides to help facilitate holding down a piece of organza ribbon that I'll be adding. I take the ribbon and line it up, starting on one side, then going across the top, and then coming down the other side. I add a couple of drops of craft glue along the way just to add as another way of securing it in place. Doesn't the ribbon start to look like a scarf wrapping around the card? I think it's really fashionable. And with that, our male fashion card is done. For this card, we'll be using an A2 craft card base, a piece of brown cardstock that's trimmed down to 4 by 5.25 inches. We'll be using this beautiful patterned paper, the really illustrious glitter cardstock, a piece of leather that came from the kit, the edge die from last month's kit. We'll be using some sentiment dies and some peel-offs. I start by putting some double-sided tape onto the back of the brown cardstock and adhering it down to the craft card base. I trim the pattern paper down to 3 inches wide by the 5.5 inches long. I then run it through my die cut machine with that border die on one side, and then I repeat it on the second side. I then repeat and do the same thing with the piece of leather. It's been cut down to 5.5 inches. I die cut the one side with the edge die, and then I go ahead and die cut the second side with the edge die as well. I weeded out the leather strips as well as the cardstock. There were lots of little pieces that I poked out. I then put some craft glue down onto the edged side of the patterned paper and repeated it for the other side. I used a brown alcohol marker to go around and color in anywhere where there was a little bit of white showing through. And also made a game time decision that I wanted a little bit of a light blue cardstock coming through. So I trimmed a piece down to size, adhered double-sided tape onto the back of it, and put it down onto the card base. I then put some double-sided foam tape onto the back of the patterned paper and adhered it down to the card base. In laying it down, I just made sure that it would be approximately centered on the card. I die cut the sentiment shadow from the glitter cardstock, and then die cut the sentiment from a strip of the brown velvet cardstock. I glued the sentiment onto the shadow, then added some glue to the back of each word and adhered it to the center of the card. And the last step was to add some of the beautiful brown and gold and light blue peel-offs down onto the card. I add the brown to the top and bottom of the blue card panel, and then a blue one right next to the brown ones. And our card is done. Who says you can't incorporate a floral pattern into a mail card? I certainly don't. This card is quick, easy, and a lot of fun. It uses a white A2 card base, a navy A2 panel, a light blue card panel cut to 4 inches by 5.25 inches, this really fun bubble print paper, some of the ephemera, and a leather tag that came from the Fall Friends kit. These tags work great for masculine cards. I start by putting some double-sided tape onto the navy card panel and adhere it down to my card base. And then do the same with the light blue cardstock. You guessed it. I do the same to the piece of the patterned bubble paper that was cut down to be 3.75 inches by 5 inches. I laid the two trophy ephemera onto the card to decide on placement, and once happy, went ahead and added some craft glue to the first one and adhered it down to the card, and then repeated it for the second one. I think that these trophies are a great way to make a masculine congratulatory card. And once done with the trophies, I put some double-sided foam tape onto the back of the balloons and center them between them. I choose the leather tag that says congratulations, put some glue onto the back of it, and then firmly press it into place. I hold my fingers on it for a few seconds to make sure that it gets a nice adherence to the card. And this really fun card is complete. This card uses an A2 craft card base, an A2 sized brown piece of cardstock. We'll be using this compass printed cardstock, brushed gold cardstock, some of these gold embellishments from the kit, some washi tape, a strip of the leather, as well as the stamp set. I started by putting some double-sided tape onto the brown card panel and adhering it down to my card base. I then cut down this printed cardstock to include 3 rows of compasses in regards to the height of it, and then I cut the width to be the width of the card, which is 5.5 inches. Double-sided tape on the back was used to adhere that down to the card base. But before adhering it down, I took a Nuvo metallic gold marker and went along the edges of the cardstock to add in just a little bit of extra gold detail. With that panel in place, I put a line of craft glue above it as well as one below it. And I did that to make sure that the washi tape I put down is going to stay securely in place. I then put down a strip of the washi tape above the panel and put one below the panel as well, and then trimmed off the edges to be even with the card. Craft glue was put onto the back of the thin leather strip. That is basically about a ½ inch wide, and it is the length of the card panel, which is 5.25 inches. And then I centered it on that panel and used scissors to cut off the excess on the sides. I stamped the sentiment with black ink onto the gold cardstock and cut it to size. Some gold embellishments were added, and the card is done. So here we go. 4 additional cards using the Love From Lizi for Him kit for May. And these are just so much fun. I hope that you see that masculine designs don't have to be that hard. And kits like this make it even that much easier. We have this really fashionable card. I love having the strip of organza over the Polaroid silver frame because to me it makes it look like a scarf draped over it, which goes so well with the fedora, the vest, and the bow ties. The peel-offs really framing that and making it look so nice against that navy. And then that glitter cardstock really making it pop and stand out. So easy. Then we have this For You card that is such a fun design. And yes, it was a little bit of work with cutting the border die out of the leather, the faux leather paper, but it wasn't very difficult. You just have to put it through a few times. If you're weeding it and there are some pieces that are kind of hard to get out, just leave them in there. It'll be absolutely fine. And if you do tear anything, don't worry about it. You don't have to start over. If you're gluing this down onto paper as I did, I had cut this lined paper with the borders as well. You can just glue it right down. Then we have the really nice velvet paper on the letters For You, and just a really fun design. We then have this fabulous congratulations card. So quick, so easy to make, using 2 pieces of ephemera, the trophies, a third with the balloons. I elevated the balloons with some double-sided tape, and then using these fabulous faux leather banners that were in the Fall Friends kit. These coordinate so well with the For Him kit, as well as the masculine designs overall. Last time I checked, there were still some of these left out there in the store. Highly recommend getting them. They're so versatile and really just make a wonderful design element. And then last but not least is our thank you card using that really pretty compass. I call it the compass paper. Little bit of washi. That I make sure I put some glue down so it doesn't lift up so easily. Some foil paper, a strip of leather. You have a really nice, I'd say this is a very conservative design, but definitely, a card that you'd be proud giving to someone to thank them. So 4 additional cards using this kit. Thanks so much for spending some time here with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, Zemstones by Walter. You can find it right there on YouTube by either looking up my name, Walter Zemrock, Zemrock, or you can look it up by zemstones.by.walter and search for it that way. I'd appreciate you following me. Thanks so much, and I will see you again real soon.